mentioned last time, I think, was productive efficiency, right? If you can't make more of something without giving up anything else, then you have achieved productive efficiency. Let me just review that last bit from last week so you guys are all on the same page. We have production possibilities frontier like this. We're making two things, X and Y. And if we are right here at point A, we are productively efficient because we're on the PPF, you know this, but to connect this to the definition, we can't produce more of one thing without giving up some of the other thing. We can't have more X, we can't move right without moving down, right? We can't have more X without giving up Y, or we cannot have more Y without giving up X. Whereas over here at point B, we can't have more X without giving up Y, or we can have more Y without giving up X. Right? Okay. So that's where we were last time. It's a review from last week, so you don't really need it. You already got it. And also, as I mentioned to you last week, there are two types of efficiency. One, productive. We've just mentioned it. Productive efficiency is producing as much as you can, producing on the PPF, not under the PPF. Okay, let's see if I have a better marker. I do, yes. Two types of efficiency. Another type of efficiency is allocative efficiency. So basically, productive efficiency is making sure you are not wasting resources, making sure you are producing as much as you can with the given resources, for example, with your time, so that you are not being lazy, right? Allocative efficiency, to connect to the name, is from choosing correctly how to allocate resources, even if you are not wasting any of your time, right? Are you using the time to make the most valuable things, right? Let's say, for example, there are a couple of things you could be doing with your time. And let's say you have an exam tomorrow, right? So you could be either preparing for the exam tomorrow, it's very useful, right? Or you could be answering your emails. It's, let's say it's pretty useful. So let's say you are not wasting time in either case, right? Perhaps it would be a better, more efficient allocation of your time, right? If you prepare for the exam rather than do the other thing, right? So that's an example of allocative efficiency. Let's have a look at more details, okay? First, let me write down the definition, okay? It's similar to the productive efficiency definition. The difference is in comparative marginal and benefit, marginal costs and marginal benefits, okay? Allocative efficiency is when, I skip the word achieved, right? Is achieved, is reached, yes? Is when if it's hard to read on the board, I'm reading it out. Allocative efficiency is achieved when we cannot produce allocative efficiency is achieved when we cannot produce more of one good. So it's so far similar to productive efficiency, right? Productive efficiency, remember, is efficiency is a situation where we can't produce more of one good without giving up the production of the other, right? Here, allocative efficiency is a situation where we can't produce more of one good without giving up the production of the good which we value even more. Okay? Good or service So a small difference in the wording, but a big difference in terms of the actual model. The mathematics is much more interesting. We're going to look at that. We'll be able to show some charts about it. So a small difference in the wording. Allocative efficiency is the situation when we can't produce more of something without giving up something that's even more valuable. Like, for example, say you really got to prepare for the exam, right? And the emails, let's say you're a TA. You are a TA, so you have to answer somebody's emails, okay? Perhaps it can wait, right? But you can't report that you haven't done anything today. It would also not be really so nice. So if you have, I don't know, let's say 4 hours remaining in the day, okay? Perhaps it would be best to spend, I don't know, like half an hour answering some emails, so that at least tomorrow you don't have to say, sorry, I didn't do anything. I was preparing for my exam, right? If you just do a little bit of the emails, you could say, well, I've done this. Not much, but that's because I had to prepare for my exam. Sounds better, right? Plus, you still don't spend too much time on it. Maybe like half an hour is kind of good enough, right? And you'll still have 3.5 hours to prepare for the exam, okay? So let's say, for example, that is perhaps the best way to allocate your time. So that's allocative efficiency, right? Now let's try to connect to the definition. Later on we'll try to illustrate things. If instead you choose a different allocation, right? If instead you choose a different allocation, like for example you move to 1 hour spending 1 hour on doing emails, right? Yeah, you will have more of something, right? But instead you're going to lose something that is even more valuable, right? Or vice versa, if you're not going to do any emails. Yeah, it's important to prepare for the exam, right? But you already have 3.5 time preparing for the exam. The extra half an hour, it's kind of good, but maybe not as important as being able to report at least something for your TA job tomorrow, right? Yes? So if instead you move from half an hour emails to 0 time emails, yeah, you can prepare for the exam a little bit more, but you lose the chance, you lose the face tomorrow, right? You know what I mean? So that definition, unlike the previous one, involves comparing which is more valuable, right? So we're going to talk about that, okay? So how are we going to compare which activity is more valuable is we're going to look at marginal benefits and marginal costs, okay? And actually we don't have to look at marginal benefits and marginal costs of each activity, right? Because let's say, for example, I only have 2 activities, exam and emails, right? If I measure the benefit of studying for the exam in how many emails I can answer, right? Then I could kill 2 birds with one throw by looking at the marginal benefits and costs of both, right? Instead of measuring marginal benefit for preparing for the, instead of marginal benefit of preparing for the exam in terms of the amount of grade that I can get, and then separately measuring the marginal benefit of answering emails in terms of how much money I will get as a TA, right? Then I'll have to look at both of these and try to compare how much is the value of grade versus money, right? I could instead measure one in terms of the other, right? I could spend time preparing for the preparing for the exam, but in that time I lose the opportunity to answer a given number of emails. So I kind of merge those marginal benefits and costs into one, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. So for our production possibilities frontier, right, we have, let's say, for example, exam, and the benefit from doing the exam is the grade, right? better grade if you spend more time on the exam, but we also have emails. Okay, 2 E's, so let's call it EM, emails. The benefit of that is, let's say, getting money for your TA position, right? Okay, so these are two different measurements, right? And perhaps you want to do something that is more valuable, which has greater benefits. There you have to compare quite a lot of things. You need to look at this separately. So what if instead we measure one in terms of the other, right? So we prepare for the exam, right? But during the preparation for the exam, the cost of it is not being able to do the emails then. That's, remember we talked about opportunity cost last week, okay? So yes, let's actually have a look at it. Let's have some numbers. It will be more easy, I hope, to understand things because we're gonna actually have some numbers. So let's have, okay, let's have exams and emails, right? Let's say this is the amount of time to prepare for the exams. Let's say 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and 4 hours, okay? And let's say these are the number of emails you could answer in that same time. I want to have a bow shape here, right? Even though you are the only person switching between exams and emails, right? Because resources, as we mentioned last week, resources are different in terms of what they're good at. When we have Jack and Mary, Jack is better at making pizza, Mary is better at making buns, right? When we switch them around from making one thing to another, the shape of the BPF looks like a bow, right? In this case, it's only one person, so let me introduce some kind of bow shape by saying that maybe you get tired when you write too many emails. The first email is probably quick, second is a bit not as quick, third is slower, and so on, because you're getting tired, yes? So let's have some numbers. So let's say exams and emails. What are the options? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, then perhaps 0 here. So let's say, what if I make it 6? That's a difference of 6. No, maybe. So this should be a big difference here. Let's make it a difference of 4. Then let's make it a difference of 3. So that should be 7. Then a difference of 2. Then maybe a difference of 1. So that email will take a whole hour because it's already. Oh no, a difference of 2 will make this 9. I'm sorry. And a difference of 1 will make that 10. Yeah. So that 10th email takes a whole hour because you've already written 9 emails. And it's taking time to, you're getting tired, it takes time to understand what is the email about. Never mind replying it. Plus the replying time and everything, right? So okay, let's say we have this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1 is here, right? Then 1, 9. 2, 7. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's 10, 9, that's 7, right? 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it's something like this. Something like that. Okay. We have a PPF, and from that we remember from last week how to build marginal costs, right? How to build marginal costs. The first exam, the first hour of exam preparation will cost you how many emails written? Only one, because you will lose only one email written. Instead of answering 10 emails, you'll only be able to answer 9. So let's put on a different chart. This is what we need to look at. Okay, this is what we need to look at. Okay, so let's have that chart. Exams, marginal costs, and marginal benefits. We're going to compare them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. The first exam costs me only one email. So I'm going to put a point here. remember from the first week, not last week, but the first week, we said that we would put the marginals in the middle so that we don't get confused. Which numbers those marginals relate to, right? If I put the marginal here, then does it relate to going from 0 to 1 and 1 to 0, or is it related to going to 1 and between 1 and 2, right? So we put them in the middle. It's not confusing. This one is related to switching between 0 and 1, not between any other numbers. The second hour of preparation will cost me how many emails?
3.
3. Is that right? No, 2. I think it's 2.
From 9 to 7, 2.
Yeah, right? 2. So there's 2 here. Let's put a point here. The third hour of preparation costs me 3 emails. We also can see it here, right? If I go into the third hour, I'm going to go down here. So that's 3. And the fourth hour preparation costs me 4, right? Okay, so there's marginal cost, pretty easy. We already have done that before, right? Okay, so that's marginal cost curve. Okay. Now, before we introduce marginal benefit curve, let's just get some idea of what we are looking for, right? Okay, let's say completely different example. I know I'm jumping from one case to another. Hope it's not too confusing, but I think with numbers it'll be easy. Let's say you have a business making t-shirts, right? Let's say you have a business making t-shirts, and let's say the price of a t-shirt, the price at which you can sell the t-shirts is, I don't know, let's say 2,000 NT, right? So that's a pretty high-end t-shirt. Not like this. This is probably 50 NT or something, I don't know, right? So if your cost of making that t-shirt is, I don't know, let's say 300 NT per t-shirt, should you run the business? Yes, right? Because the rest is going to be your profit. What if the cost of a t-shirt is 1,400 NT per t-shirt? Should you still produce them or shut down for a while until prices change? Still produce, you're still making 600, right? What if the cost of making a t-shirt is, let's say, 2,600 NT per t-shirt? Should you still produce or shut down at least temporarily? Shut down, because you're going to lose on every t-shirt, right? So, in this case, the cost, right, was compared to the benefit, just like what we are going to do here. But of course, for the company, the benefit is the profit, the price that you can get, right? So as long as the price is higher than the benefit, right? Oh, I'm sorry, no, the price is the benefit. As long as the price is higher than the cost, you keep doing it, right? And when it's the opposite, you don't, right? So actually, I can take it to the extreme, right? And instead of having this bigger sign here, larger sign here, a greater exceeding sign, right? As long as this exceeds this, you keep doing it, right? But where's the actual border, right? I gave you examples of, I forgot what were the numbers, 300 NT per t-shirt costs, 1,400 NT per t-shirt costs, right? What if it's 1,600 NT per t-shirt cost? You still should keep doing it. You'll make 400 on each t-shirt, right? What if it's 1,900 NT per t-shirt cost? Still 100 NT per t-shirt, right? So I can keep narrowing this difference. Perhaps you would still kind of make it. So at the very extreme, it's actually an equality. Kind of, right? I mean, what if the cost of making a t-shirt is 1,999, right? And the price is 2,000. Is it worth doing that? Good, very good. Somebody says no. Very good way of thinking, right?
Yes.
So maybe yes, maybe no.
Yeah.
Well, for accountant, it doesn't make sense, right? Because you're only making 1 NT per t-shirt, right? Yes. But in reality, there are a lot of other costs. How about your time and everything, right? But remember, in economics, right? When I tell you that the cost of a t-shirt is 1,999, right? I don't mean that it's only out-of-pocket costs, right? It's not only out-of-pocket costs. Remember, in economics, we mentioned this, I don't remember, maybe 2 weeks ago. There is a difference in economic and accounting costs, right? Economic costs include all opportunity costs, right? So that includes the other best alternative. Instead of making t-shirts, you could go get a job, right? right? So that job would make you, I don't know how much, maybe 600 NT per hour, right? Let's say, right? Or 800 NT per hour, or 1200 NT per hour, doesn't matter, right? So economic costs include that as well, include the best alternative, right? So actually when I tell you 1999 per shirt, right, that includes the other opportunity of getting that wage. So maybe the actual out of money costs is, let's say, 1299 plus the job that you could get instead of making t-shirts on the market, right, is, what is the remaining thing, is then 700 per hour, right? Yes, let's say these are t-shirts per hour, t-shirts made per hour. So it still makes sense to make the t-shirts, right? You make only 1 NT more than you would have on the job, right? So there's a difference between accounting and economic costs, right? Economic costs include all opportunity costs, right? So with that in mind, I can kind of push for the extreme, right? Even 1 NT difference is probably worth it because that includes your other opportunity of going, getting a job and getting that wage. Does it make sense? So there it is, that's what we're looking for. So as long as it's, as long as this is not greater than this, we keep doing the activity, whatever is the activity. For example, preparing more and more and more for the exam, right? Or making more and more and more t-shirts. So this is clear with the example of t-shirts. Now coming back here, we know how to derive marginal costs from the production possibility frontier. Now marginal benefits, there is nowhere to derive it from, okay? Because it's only about costs here. If you do one, you lose the opportunity to do the other, right? The benefit of the exam is grade, right? The grades, okay, not really directly related in emails. Even if you are paid to answer each email, right? Even if you are paid to answer each email, still, it means you could think of emails as dollars, right? If you are paid to answer each email, we can think of emails as dollars, right? So let me just replace it, easy to understand. Let's put dollars here. Even if we make it easy, everyone understands what's dollars, right? For me and you, emails could have different importance, right? But we all kind of are used to dollars, right? Still, grades for her might be more important in terms of dollars than grades for him, right? Right? So perhaps somebody who is trying to go for master's degree in future, maybe they really do want to have better grades, right? Than those who don't, or whatever. It depends, right? Or maybe depends on how parents are pushing you, how hard your parents are pushing you, or whatever, right? So we can't derive marginal benefits from there. It depends on personal preferences, right? So for these kind of questions, the exam question will have to give you something about marginal benefit in addition to what's there. It can't be derived from there. Okay? Let's have marginal benefit. So let's say, for example, marginal benefit of preparing for the exam, yes, is, let's have a couple of examples. So we try all different versions. In one case, a marginal benefit is equal to, let's say, 3, whatever it is. That's personal preferences, right? In the second case, marginal benefit is equal to 3.2. So this second person has slightly, the second person views grades a little bit more important than the first person, right? And let's say in the third case, let's say marginal benefit of exam preparation is, let's say, equal to, let's say, 5 minus EX, like this. So it's an equation, right? So this third person really doesn't want to, the third person really doesn't want to fail the course, right? So there is something very important for him, but he doesn't really care to have a high grade, you understand? Right? So the more he spends time preparing for the exam, the value of that grade drops for him. Because we have EX, remember, is the time we are spending on preparing for the exam, right? EX enters into the definition of benefit for him. So there is something high at the beginning. He doesn't want to fail the course because the parents are going to whip him, right? But as long as he passes, he doesn't need any higher grade. Okay? So that's an example, right? So let's see what would be the answers for each of these three cases. So what I need to do is I need to put the chart, the graph, the curve of marginal benefits on the same chart and see where they meet, because from mathematics, right, when two functions are equal to each other, that's a point where they meet. From your high school, let's review that. Let's say we have y and x, right? Let's say we have f prime, right, of x, and let's say we have another function. So I'll just call it f double prime of x, right? Where is one function equal to another function? Whatever is the function doesn't really matter. Where are they equal? Well, over here, where they meet, right? There could be multiple points where they meet, so there could be multiple points where they're equal, right? Okay, so just to review from high school, very simple concept. When functions are equal to each other, that's a point where they meet, right? So if this is an equality, I want to find the point on the curve where two meet, right? So let's put the first one on the curve, on the chart. A function that is just a number 3. How will it look like? It's a straight line, right? Just a straight line at 3. Just like this, right? Right? So, that's marginal benefits of the first guy. Okay. Marginal benefit of the second guy, 3.2. And marginal benefit of the third guy. So Ex here is on the x-axis, right? And MB here is on the vertical axis, right? So you could think of it as y equals 5 minus x, right? Again, that's from high school. How does that look like? Straight line, yes? Straight line, right? So just a straight line coming down from 5 down to where? Down to 4? No, down to 5, right? Because if you put 5 here, that's when y will be 0, right? And y 0 is when we're hitting the x-axis, right? Right? That's from high school, right? Yeah. So something like that, right? So I guess we need to find the equation, equality, and then that's all, right? Okay. So how much is the marginal cost in terms of the equation? First is 1, second is 2, third is 3, fourth is 4. I think it looks like it's equal to Ex, right? Because then if y equals x, it's going to be a 45-degree line like this, right? Is that right? Is that right? So yeah, just equate this to Ex. That's this marginal benefit, and we want it to be equal to marginal cost, right? So we just equate this to this side, right? Equate this to Ex and equate this to Ex. You can find the quantities, right, of Ex. So for example, bring this here with a positive sign, that will be 2 Ex equals 5 or whatever, right? Okay? And then it means that the optimal allocation of time for you is 2.5 hours of preparation, right? Okay? Questions? Let's pause here.